Berkeley, California. May 28, 1979. 11 p.m. The doorbell rings. Faye Stender opens the door and sees a young woman in a blue hoodie, but the woman steps aside, revealing a man behind her, Edward Glenn Brooks, 26 years old, freshly paroled. Black Guerilla Family, .38 revolver in his hand. He pushes his way inside. Within seconds, the house transforms into a hostage scene. Her son, her daughter, her partner, forced into a single room. Tied up, helpless, Brooks marches Faye to her bedroom desk. "Write it," she refuses. He cocks the gun. Shaking, she writes the words he demands. Faye Stender, admit I betrayed George Jackson and the prison movement when they needed me most. Brooks pockets the note, finds $10 in the house, and fires 5 bullets into her body. She survives barely. Paralyzed, in agony. 1 year later, in Hong Kong, she takes her own life. But this story doesn't start with her execution. It starts with a teenager, a gas station, and a mistake worth only $71. San Quentin State Prison. August 21, 1971. A man sprints across the prison yard, gun in hand, afro bouncing. George Jackson. 29 years old, revolutionary. Symbol, target, a 9mm pistol flashes from his hair. 3 guards already dead inside. Tower officers take aim. 1 bullet hits. Jackson collapses. The revolutionary dies on concrete just feet from the outer wall. And the woman Brooks just tried to execute. She was the lawyer who made Jackson famous. The woman who turned a prisoner's letters into a movement. The woman the BGF later branded a traitor. But before the gunshots, before the manifestos, before the riots, George Jackson was nobody. Just a kid with a gun and a terrible plea deal. Los Angeles, 1960. 18-year-old George Jackson walks into a gas station. Born in Chicago. Raised in Watts, a childhood scarred by poverty and police. He pulls a gun, demands the cash. The total? $71. His court-appointed lawyer urges him to plead guilty. Maybe a year, he promises. Jackson believes him. Instead, the judge hands down a sentence that destroys thousands of men. 1 year to life. Indeterminate. Prison swallows him whole. 23 hours a day in solitary for years. A concrete box. No sunlight. No voices. No hope. But in that darkness, something unexpected happens. He discovers books. Marx, Lenin, Trotsky, Engels, Mao. Jackson later writes, "I met Marx, Lenin, Trotsky, Engels, and Mao in prison, and they redeemed me." The petty robber transforms into a revolutionary theorist. And then he meets W.L. Nolan. Sharp, defiant, visionary. Nolan tells him, "We don't just survive. We organize." Together with Big Jake Lewis, they create the Black Guerilla Family. Not a gang, a revolutionary army. Their oath, blood in, blood out. Their mission, overthrow oppression. Their enemy, the entire system. Jackson begins writing letters, furious, brilliant, strategic. One woman reads them and sees fire. Faye Stender. She approaches him. "Let me publish these," she says. "You deserve to be heard." Jackson agrees. Neither of them knows it yet. But those letters will become the reason one of them becomes famous, and the other becomes a target. But before the book comes out, the first body drops. And nothing will be the same again. January 13th, 1970. Soledad Prison. W.L. Nolan returns to the yard after months in lockdown. 14 black inmates. 2 whites, a guard and the tower expert marksman. A fight erupts. No warning, no hesitation. The guard fires. 3 black men fall dead. Nolan, Cleveland Edwards, Alvin Miller. When the ruling comes, justifiable homicide. No black inmate is allowed to testify. Inside the cells, the silence doesn't last long. War is brewing. 30 minutes after the verdict airs, a guard named John Mills is found dead, thrown from the 3rd tier. A note beside him, 1 down, 2 to go. Jackson and 2 others, Drumgo and Kutchet, are charged with murder. If convicted, they face the gas chamber. Meanwhile, Faye Stender publishes Soledad Brother, Jackson's letters. 400,000 copies sold. He becomes a symbol of black liberation. A revolutionary thinker behind bars. A UCLA professor, Angela Davis, joins his cause. Their letters deepen, at first political, then personal. Then something prosecutors later call an obsession? But the person watching most closely isn't Angela Davis. It's Jonathan Jackson. 17 years old, George's little brother. He worships him. And he watches the state prepare to kill him. Jonathan decides to act. And what he does will end with bodies in a parking lot and headlines around the world. August 7, 1970, Marin County Courthouse. Jonathan walks in wearing a heavy raincoat, underneath guns. He arms 3 inmates. Takes hostages, Judge Harold Haley, the district attorney, jurors. His demand: free the Soledad brothers, free George Jackson. They enter a yellow van. The shootout erupts instantly. Gunfire from outside, gunfire from inside. When it's over, 4 people lie dead: Jonathan Jackson, Judge Haley, William Christmas, James McLean. Angela Davis's guns are traced to the attack. She becomes a fugitive, then a global symbol. But in a cell in San Quentin, George Jackson hears the news. His baby brother is dead. And the revolution becomes personal. Jackson stops believing in legal appeals. He wants weapons, explosives. He wants out. Faye Stender refuses. And the split that will one day cost her life begins. August 21, 1971. The day George Jackson dies. His lawyer, Stephen Bingham, arrives for a visit, carrying a briefcase, inside a tape recorder and legal papers. Guards inspect it briefly, too briefly. Bingham meets Jackson for 15 minutes. They separate. Back in the adjustment center, a guard begins a strip search. He sees something in Jackson's hair. What's that? Jackson pulls a gun. A 9mm pistol. He fires. Officer Frank Delian dies instantly. Cells burst open. 26 inmates fled the block. Guards are stabbed. Throats cut. Alarms blaring. Jackson runs into the yard toward the outer wall. 21 feet high. Tower guards aim. 1 shot misses. The next hits. George Jackson collapses. Dead, 29 years old. The revolutionary dies feet from freedom. Stephen Bingham flees the country within hours. Lives under a fake name in Eastern Europe. 13 years later he surrenders. During his trial, ballistics experts testify the gun could not have fit in his tape recorder. And it could not have been hidden in Jackson's afro. So how did Jackson get it? Did guards plant it? Did someone smuggle it? Did inmates on the inside help? No one knows. And no one ever will. But while the mystery grows, the BGF makes a decision of its own. Faye Stender must die. A BGF manifesto circulates calling lawyers traitors. She isn't named. She doesn't need to be, they mark her. And in 1979, Brooks carries out that sentence. Stender survives, testifies, but lives in fear and pain. In Hong Kong, broken and hunted, she ends her life. And even Brooks, the executioner, is later stabbed to death by BGF members. The dragon feeds on its own. August 22, 1989, West Oakland. Huey P. Newton steps out of a crack house. Founder of the Black Panther Party, the man who inspired George Jackson. A BGF member approaches Tyrone Robinson. Words exchanged. A dispute turns deadly. 3 shots. Newton dies on the sidewalk. The Black Guerilla Family kills the man who inspired its creation. The revolution eats its father. The BGF stops pretending to be political. The dragon symbol remains. The rhetoric remains. But the mission changes. Money, drugs, power, control. Baltimore City Detention Center. 2009. The BGF builds an empire. Tavon Bulldog White from inside a cell controls the entire jail. Wiretap recordings capture his voice. This is my jail. Nothing moves without me. He seduces correctional officers. 4 of them become pregnant. They tattoo his name on their bodies. They smuggle drugs, phones, cash. White makes $20,000 a month. Inside a jail. The BGF writes an entire training manual teaching members how to exploit officers. When federal agents raid the jail, 44 people are indicted. 27 are correctional officers. The enterprise thrives. The ideology is dead. And while the money piles up, the last remnants of George Jackson's dream are being hunted down. 2015, New Folsom Prison. Hugo Yogi Pinnell I of the San Quentin Six is released from solitary after more than 4 decades. He knows what awaits him. 5 days later, 2 Aryan Brotherhood members attack. Knives flash, smoke grenades cloud the yard. A full-scale race riot erupts. Pinnell collapses. Stabbed repeatedly. The last revolutionary dies on a concrete yard. With him, the original Black Guerilla Family dies too. Baltimore 2018. Another regime. More murders. More indictments. More life sentences. One inmate says, "The game don't stop, only the players change." From $71 to an empire. From Marxist manifestos to drug rings and extortion. From revolution to racketeering. George Jackson dreamed of liberation. But the organization he founded became the very oppression he tried to destroy. The underdog became the overlord. And the dragon is still feeding.